So, Marty, were you here last week?
What's that?
Were you here last time we met?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you are
Yeah.
familiar with what we're doing.
Yep. Mhm.
Great. Hi there, Ryan.
That's Ryan.
Good to see you.
You too. I'm at the ice rink.
Oh,
Wow.
I'll probably be going on and off video to try not to be too distracting.
all right. Great. Your little ice skaters.
Yeah.
Hi, Shannon. Hello, hello. All right, we've got Colleen coming. I don't know if Katie will make it, and I think Foy is in Spain. Am I right?
I think he's back. He's just back, maybe.
Oh.
Or no, he might still be there, but the 10 days of his walking are done.
All right, there's Colleen. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Relational Revolution Live. Super exciting. I'll do our intro. I'll tell everyone what this is, and then we'll jump into our leader team. We will be modeling and inviting, as we have been over the last several days, modeling the value shifts for practicing church's heart-to-heart connection. Those value shifts are broken down in the book Relational Revolution. If you haven't gotten that yet, please do. That's where you will find those 5 crucial value shifts that we see God inviting all of us into. And we're going live this week, trying to model what it looks like to live into those value shifts together as community. And we're inviting others to join us to train with Luke 10 and also to fund this global movement. We are $8,000 short every single month of our budget, which I just laugh because it is ridiculous amount. And thankfully, we have received large, generous donations every year to and make up for that difference so that we're not operating in a deficit yet. It's been several years that this has been going on. But this fundraiser is the time of year when we focus on trying to gain monthly donors and educating people around the need for strategic partners, monthly donors that help us do what we do. Again, this is a very small organization, two full-time employees and maybe a handful of part-timers that pull off all the work that goes on with Luke 10 as a movement that fuels the relational revolution. So if God leads you to donate, that is on our page, lk10.com/live. And if you become a monthly donor, a new monthly donor this week, or even probably in the weeks after as we release some of these videos, you will be eligible for a free copy of the audiobook, Relational Revolution, read by John White. So if you want a free copy, let us know that you have given. There's a little link that you'll get once you give that says, fill this link out if you're a new donor or if you've increased your donation, and you'll get your free copy. I think that's it. That's the spiel. Where are we right now? This is my leader team. So up until now, we've had some training calls. We've had some interviews on the Relational Revolution Live. And we've had some circle meetings. We had a grant circle meeting. Today we had our general circle meeting. We've had a facilitators gathering call. So I don't think we've had any leader teams yet. So this is our leader team. So what is our leader team? In Luke 10, we have an introductory call that you do where you get to experience what it's like to be coached and kind of listen to God in your own heart about your next steps. That leads into a Church 101, which is a 6-week experience of learning to be church at the micro level, really of 2 or 3 or a few people where you're checking in heart to heart and connecting the odd together as close to daily as possible in a community of practice. After those 6 weeks, you're invited to join a leader team if you want to continue training with Luke 10. And so today we're popping right into my leader team. And this leader team, we've been going, I've had this spot for like 8 years. We've morphed and grown and changed and come off and come back on. So So some of you have only been around for a year or two, others have been around for 6 years or more. And this current expression, I think Ryan's our newest member in this expression of leader team. And we have rounds that we will work through together today. We have leader lessons that we engage with and react around together. And this meeting, we have chosen as a group, we've discerned together to do the Immanuel approach training by Carl Lehman. That we want to give a plug in as well. You can go to his website or find my podcast, Joy Fueled and Jesus Led. There's 5 interviews with Dr. Lehman on there, and all of them have the links to his training. This says we are working through the basic core training. It's $250, I think, and you can buy it and go through it with your small group or your church if you're in a local setting. And we are doing it online with each other. So we just started that last week. It's our second session, and we're on. To prepare for our meeting today, we looked at lessons 1 and 2 using Luke 10's learning process, which is very unique because we watch until or listen until the Spirit stops us. We interact with God around what we're observing, and then we show up to share what we're sensing from God around those things and to practice what we're learning. Anybody want to add anything else? I kind of covered it quickly. We could have talked through it as a whole team together, but it would have taken our whole time. But anything else to add that I might have forgotten? All right. Some people are off their screen, they're off, their picture's off because they're either not feeling well. So sorry, Colleen. Or they're walking around an ice skating rink, which is Ryan, because we value family, and he is taking care of his while he's with us today. Beautiful sky, by the way. That's incredible. All right, he's outside now. All right, we start with our appreciation stories. So let's take a deep breath. Ask God, what appreciation story would you like me to remember today? And to share with each other, and we'll try to do that in about 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to our reaction round. All right. I will start. I was in a session. This whole week has been just beautiful. Our being with our people is incredible. I was with John and Kent Tuesday talking about conflict in leadership teams, and just enjoyed that session with them and felt connected to both of them, held by God in something that's sacred. Hopeful that we will work through some of our issues that are far from over. And deeply satisfied that we're all really leaning in. It's rare to find other people who will lean in, I think. And so it's a very rare thing that I'm appreciative of, even though it's difficult. It's beautiful. So yeah, holding that with me still today. Thanks, Shannon. I'm in. Marty, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My appreciation moment is the moment I hit the water. So surprising you, huh? Yeah, on Sunday we've had a lot of coastal fog, like all day foggy, we're wearing sweatshirts. But if you go up and over the mountain here in Santa Barbara, there's a valley which doesn't have the fog, and it's only like 20 minutes to get over there. So we took our bikes and we rode up with some friends to a place called Red Rock. And there's been a lot of water this year. You know, so much rain in California, it washed out trails. And so anyway, so we rode 5 miles in. We had to carry our bikes over some knee-deep water areas. Two of the bikes are electric bikes, so we had to keep them out of the water. And not mine, but some friends. Anyways, and then we get to this really cool cavern-y, not cavern, that's not the right word, like a gorge. And it's all red, it's kind of a red rock there, and there's pools for swimming, and it was all, but it'd been kind of washed out and the trail wasn't normal. So we were climbing over boulders and trying to find a place to sit and have our lunch. And we were really hot. It got really hot and sweaty and tired carrying bikes. And finally we found a place, a little flat rock that we could set our stuff on. And so the first thing was to take a swim. So yeah, just that moment of two kinds of feelings, like I'm tired, I'm hot, I want to get these clothes off, get into my bathing suit. And I did a little Carrie dove in first, I dove in and just like, this cool, refreshing. Yeah, so my physical sensations, just like feeling free, feeling refreshed. The water was cold, but not super cold. So it's just the perfect temperature to refresh. And feeling a relief, that kind of in my emotional side, just, relieved that we're done with this climb. We've got our place. Now we're going to have a really nice lunch after we swim and lay in some hot sand. We just found some really cool places to hang out. So that was really fun. Yeah. And the couple that we traveled with, they're really, really close friends and have suffered some of the same things we've suffered in life. So we have a really close bond with them.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I'm in.
Oh, Colleen says, love all your description words, Marty.
Thank you.
Hot sand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, you want to go next?
Sure. Ooh, I'm soaking that in with you, Marty. That sounded so good. I'm wondering how on earth you carried electric bikes. They're so heavy.
I just get it up on my shoulder.
Wow.
Go
ahead.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Well, you guys know that usually my appreciation is either nature or Lucas. And since Marty covered the nature, I'm going to go with a Lucas one. This one was from this morning, and it just made my heart so happy. So what I think I've told you guys before, one of my favorite time of the day is driving him to school. And we call it hostage negotiation because he's, he can't leave the car. And so we talk about all kinds of things. Sometimes we just go in silence, or sometimes we listen to music, which we call musical education, because it's usually me telling him what music he's supposed to like. But anyway, today we got in a deep conversation about the fact that as humans, we often love people the way we want to be loved, rather than noticing how they want to be loved. And so we were talking about holding space for loving people, and it was just a really beautiful conversation. But the best part was he looked at me and he said, "Mom, I'm really glad we have these conversations." And he's like, "I'm glad for me because I like talking to you, but I'm really glad for you because I can tell it really lifts your mood." And because he knows I've been struggling with depression lately, and he could see the smile on my face. He could see the energy of talking about something deep with him. And And it just brought a tear to my eye. I was like, son, thank you so much for noticing that and for giving me the gift of naming that and for actually being happy that this happens in our conversations. He just like gifted me this whole thing. And I don't know, I was feeling so seen. I was feeling loved. I was feeling energetic and I had a smile on my face. Feeling super, yeah, connected to Lucas, and it really made me happy. So I'm in.
That's incredible. You know, we talk about becoming radical attention payers.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did he get so good at this?
Yeah, he's something. We have great conversations, and I call it hostage negotiation because jokingly, because like he can't get away, he has to be there. But I try to be sensitive to, I pay attention to him too. Like if he's super low energy, I don't go to those places, and we listen to music or we just be silent. So we have a pretty good way of working it out, but I never expected him to be noticing that it's a gift to me and to be valuing that it's a gift to me to be there. So felt
Yeah.
really special.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He's such a gift. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Ryan?
My appreciation story just happened, and it's going to be Shannon. So he and said there might be an opportunity to help a family that we're trying to help, and I was sitting in, like, we just pulled up to the ice rink, and I was in our minivan, and so I remember how the seat felt sitting in it, and then yeah, I just had this jump of excitement, like, oh my goodness, we've been waiting for a program to open, and it if it opens, it would be like maybe July, but there is no guarantee that that program would work either to help this family. So like all of a sudden this opportunity comes up. So I try to contact the family, and that's exciting, and I can't do it right now. So like until I get home, maybe. But anyway, even if it doesn't, even I can't contact them, I'm appreciative for Shannon for her, I don't know, big heart and incredible capacity, not just, and I'm not talking about like to do work, although I'm sure that's amazing, but like capacity for loving others. And yeah, so in working in the government, it's easy to get like calloused, and yeah, I just appreciate your heart, Shannon. So I feel remembered, excited, because I was thinking, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking there's like so little that this family knows. So I'm trying to, I should write an email about how they're remembered. And there's this lady who doesn't know them, but is remembering them also.
Wow.
Even, organizations and stuff, because they don't know any of that. So I'm in.
Wow.
Thanks, Shannon.
Ryan, any body sensations with those feelings of feeling remembered? What does that feel like for you physically?
So a little bit of a lump in my throat, and also a little bit of like relaxation, like in my torso, just like yeah, over.
Thank you. I'm just realizing, I'm like, wow, should we introduce ourselves at all? Since we are live and people are out there, we know so much about each other, and I'm like, they don't know who we are. And maybe it's not important. So I don't know. If you want to say something about yourself that you think you'd like to share with anyone who's watching this, then I'm going to give you a chance to do that. So, and we'll just do the round and then hit back with our appreciation. And let each person introduce themselves as they go. Tony Daniels. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I was a missionary for 18 years in Uruguay, South America. So that influences who I am and how I show up to our group every day, I'm sure. Marty, what about you?
Marty Euler. I live in Santa Barbara, California with my wife, Carrie. We have known Tony for 20 or 25 years through the same organization. We were missionaries in Europe for 22 years. And I think I've been a part of this leader team for 6 or 7 years now. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Shannon?
I'm Shannon D. Bryan. I live in Northern Michigan. I think everything people would need to know about me comes out as we talk. So I'm just happy to be here with all of you, training to heal in the presence of Jesus and each other.
Thank you. Thank you. Ryan?
I'm Ryan Nienaber from Alaska. I'm a husband and dad. I love Jesus, and I want to introduce him to others.
And why do you say over? I mean, you have to share that part because that is a little different.
It means I'm done talking.
And where did you use that before now?
In the military on a radio.
All right. So ex-military, still have a heart for all the military, I think, as well. Thank you. Thanks. Hillary, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Hillary in Baltimore. I work with Luke Penn, and I agree with Shannon. Anything else will just come out in all the meetings that I'm participating in.
Thank you. Would you like to do your appreciation story, and then Colleen will go after you?
Sure, of course. So I picked up a couple of shifts at a kombucha tasting room, and on Saturday it was kind of slow. Maybe it was Sunday. I don't even know what day it was. But I work with someone 10 years younger than me and 10 years older than me, and we're trying like TikTok trends and like different other things to promote the business. So we started filming one, me and the 10 years younger, and it was going great. Like we were getting we had clips right away. Like we were jiving, we knew what we had. And then we had like this idea. We're like, oh, we need the 10-year older guy to come and like, do this. And in our mind, we're like, great, it'll be simple, just as easy as the first round of things. But it required like a little bit of acting, like just like a little bit, just a little bit. And we ended up taking like 5 or 6 takes because we could not stop laughing. He was just being really goofy, doing things really differently, like staring at us, and we all lost it. And at one point we watched back probably the most awkward video, and we were all curled over laughing. I was laughing so hard, like tears running down my face. And I was like, we're not getting anywhere. We're not going to be able to do this. This is too funny, too awkward, and just belly laughed crying for like 10, 15 minutes. And it was so silly and so fun. And I don't remember the last time I laughed that passionately, you know, when your abs hurt when you laugh.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, my eyes are stinging. I'm crying too much. Let's watch it again. Yeah, so that was a joy.
Mm-mm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. Colleen, do you feel like checking in? Or
Yeah, I
appreciation?
can do it. I
Great.
appreciate letting me stay off camera today and still be present.
Intro
So Colleen,
yourself first. There you go.
yeah, Colleen Caskey. Can you guys hear me okay? Is
Mhm.
my okay, my AirPods
Yeah.
have been weird. So yeah, Colleen Caskey, zooming in from Charleston, South Carolina. We've lived here about a year, and I work, my full-time job is with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. I work specifically with our athlete ministry and have had the chance to implement a lot of what I've learned and practice in Luke 10 with my colleagues and athletes that I work with, and have loved being on this leader team, I think, for the past 3 years or so. I can't remember, but it's been a joy and highlight of my month to get to do leader team with you all. So my appreciation story is actually about living in Charleston. So I think it was Monday night this week. I was sitting on our front porch. I had just had a call with a friend, and it was just after the sunset. So still kind of, you know, it's still kind of bright, but it's like getting darker. And we just kind of put some finishing touches on our front porch. We have some ceiling fans now, which make a breeze, and we hung up some string lights, and we've repotted some plants. And so it's just like a very lush, beautiful front porch. It's exactly all my dreams about what a front porch would be. And I had some citronella candles lit, you know, to try to, there's not too many bugs yet, which is what made it nice too, but just trying to keep the bugs away. And I was just sitting there realizing, like, this week last year we moved here, and just to think, here I am now sitting on our beautiful front porch, relaxed, content, settled in a way that I was not. I mean, I was excited last year, but I was also stressed and overwhelmed with the move. So I just felt like the Lord was helping me kind of compare what's happened in a year, and so much has happened in this year too that's more than just sitting on the porch. But yeah, I felt relaxed and peaceful and just cared for by the Lord, by Greg, my husband. And then at that moment, I look at my phone and he texts me a picture. He wasn't out there with me because he knew I was talking to a friend, and he was sitting in our backyard. He had a fire pit going, and we had string lights out there, and he was like smoking a cigar. So, and, you know, I was like, come sit with me. I love the front porch. And he's like, no, come sit with me. The backyard's amazing. So it was just this like kind of appreciation. We both were in like sweet spots in our house, enjoying where we live, and feeling just grateful and peaceful. So it was a good night.
Thank you. Now I want a picture of you on your porch.
I can send it. I'll send one.
Great. Thank you. I can't believe it's been a whole year, Colleen. That does not even seem real to me.
I know.
Seriously, it doesn't. How did that time go by so fast?
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
So glad to hear that. Beautiful. Well, thank you all for doing our appreciation round, getting our relational circuits on, discipling each other through how we appreciate life and how we hear Jesus in our appreciation stories, even how we relate to our children, how we relate to nature, how we relate to coworkers. All of these things, we disciple each other through our appreciation stories so beautifully. So we could literally do a 10-minute reaction round on everything we just received from hearing appreciation stories, but we won't do that today. Today we're going to do a reaction round on what we're learning for those of us who engaged with the Immanuel approach lessons. Maybe you did not engage. And the way we handle content in our groups is For those of us who engaged, we share our reactions, where we stopped, what drew our attention, where we stopped, and what we sensed Jesus saying about that. For those who weren't able to get to the content, they can react. You can react around what you're hearing other people say. So you can still participate in the reaction round, even if you didn't do your homework quote, because we all recognize that doing the homework isn't really the main point of being together. The practice is, the homework is to help you practice and get what you need in order to practice well. So that being said, while we do our reaction round, if you don't have a comment or reaction, or you didn't get to the material, you don't have anything to say, just give me a thumbs up and we keep moving on. Hillary's already thumbs up.
Preemptive thumbs up.
And those of us who have engaged with the lesson, let's definitely share our reactions so other people can react maybe to what they're hearing. Does that sound good? Anybody want to go first? I know, Shannon, you've probably been engaging with it. Colleen's just saying that, yeah, Hillary, you've probably been a little busy. For those who don't know, Hillary's been running the entire Revolution live event. So she has been quite busy, and the book launch before that. So she has been very full. Great. Shannon, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah, I can start.
All right.
I think the thing that I want to share doesn't come directly from the material, but it comes from my reflecting on the material in the wild, so to speak, in the other things that I'm doing. And I put this in our Discord this morning, but it really stood out to me that, I'm reading this other book about listening. It's not a Christian book. It's in a widows group that I'm in, is doing a book club using this book. And so I am enjoying reading that with them. But this morning, the chapter was about our inner voice and what it sounds like. And this author was talking about how our tone of voice internally, as we talk to ourselves, often takes on like a sports coach or our mom or, a boss we worked with or a friend. And I was relating to that. And I certainly have a really critical internal voice that comes from a certain person in my life. I mean, that feels like it's been trained by that person. And so I was just spent time pondering this morning how blown away if the parts of my internal family learn Jesus' tone of voice by spending time with him in community with others, just how transformative that is. And it seemed like an obvious thing, but it was really blowing my mind this morning that, wow, my internal voice can start to really sound like Jesus. And that's a gift to be able to practice that with all of you. So
wow.
That's what stood out to me. Amen.
Thank you. Marty, were you able to engage in the material at all, or in Immanuel approach stuff?
Well, to be honest, I noticed in Discord this morning, oh yeah. I was supposed to download that and get the Luke 10 code, and so
yeah, you gotta at least get the code right away, Marty, because it's only a few more days.
Yeah, I did it.
A few more days.
So
okay, good.
Yeah, I had a couple hours still before the meeting started, so I got connected, got the code. At the same time, remembering, well, I think I mentioned it last week that I did the training with a local group, and I wasn't sure if that training was this training, but it is the same training. So
Good.
So we went through all the videos, and then we had sessions for 6 weeks where we process. And anyway, but there was something that stood out to me in the little bit that I watched was just the promise that Jesus said, "I will never leave you or forsake you. I'm always with you." And that truth is so powerful for me. And almost every time I stop to listen in an intentional way to Jesus, I hear those are the first words I hear always. So it's kind of like been a learning process and a special message for me that I'm starting to incorporate into my life more often, remembering that he is with me, and it gives me peace, and it gives me confidence, that it's not all up to me, it's and I don't have to perform, and there's other things that have been blocks in my life. So just that one little thing that I caught this morning, just checking it out, really resonated. So yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ryan? I can't see your thumbs up because your camera's off. So not sure if you have a reaction round or you might be tending to kids. All right. Colleen.
Yeah, I wanted to make one comment on what Shannon was saying, the idea of about the voice of Jesus. And I think that's something I was reflecting on our last leader team, where I got to practice being on the receiving end, and just like Jesus speaking to different parts of me that maybe don't all know him. It was kind of like a mind-boggling revelation. Like, I know Jesus, but there's actually these parts of me that operate kind of without awareness of him. So just that idea of Jesus's voice shaping all of who I am, seeking and saving all of me, it just is like a pretty powerful thought. And then Immanuel, the Immanuel approach can help that. I think the other thing that stood out to me as I was going through the videos was the part where I think you say, okay, now that you've established your memory and you found Jesus, spend 5 to 10 minutes with him. And I was like, what? I've never done that part. And 5 to 10 minutes is a really long time. But it's actually not. But it just I was thinking, wow, the benefit there of being able to spend 5 to 10 minutes in just appreciation before you do anything else. Just really, I realized, wow, that's a piece I've been missing. So curious about that, and kind of hopeful of what like deepening that could do in my relationship with Jesus or other people's.
Yeah. Thanks. I think that was one of my observations too, Colleen. And it was so funny to me too. If you haven't seen the video, it's so I'll just briefly outline the material. The first lesson is on positive memory recall, which we would call an appreciation memory, but there is a difference between the way we practice our appreciation stories and the way Dr. Lehman is talking about positive memory recall. So I do want to draw that out, because we are on a leader team and we practice these 2-minute appreciation stories. And the difference I'm seeing is that the positive memory recall is where you're being coached into it, for one, and you're allowed space to delve in, to enter deeper, to feel it stronger. Like our 2-minute appreciation story really is you doing all that work by yourself and then coming back out of it and giving us a 2-minute snippet of it, right? But the goal is actually that you're doing this positive memory recall with your appreciation memories you can use our appreciation story log, right? And then our 2-minute appreciations that we share with each other are really the summary of that time, right? But what's so funny, and so, okay, that's the first. I'll get to the second one there. So that's the first thing. The second lesson is on recalling a memory where you have already sensed God's presence, right? So Dr. Lehman, the point of Immanuel approach, right, is to help people get in touch with the living, active live presence of Jesus, right? So how is he promoting us doing this? Through appreciation, through these positive memory recalls. So he's saying you can do it through any positive memory. Let's go there and delve into it. And then the second lesson is, or you can start with a memory where you already have an interactive encounter with God, where you've had it in the past. That's a great place to start, to then kind of reconnect to him for the present. So those are the two different lessons that we were going to talk, or that we were looking at for today. What hit me in the lesson, this lesson about, it's the practice where you're actually watching Dr. Lehman do this. He connects to his memory. And in this lesson, he says, it's so precious. It's so vulnerable. Thank you, Dr. Lehman, for your vulnerability. So vulnerable. But he says in this memory, so he's connected to Jesus. He's hanging out with him, spending time with him. And he's in that space where it's what's next? What do you want to do together today? And Dr. Lehman, a part of him starts to want to work. And he's like wanting to talk about how to make Immanuel better, how to make training better, how to. And Jesus is like, I don't really want to talk about that. And he's like, what? And Jesus says to him, I just kind of want to be with you. Like, I want to just nurture you and be with you. And so he has this inner dialogue. You can tell his parts are present. He has an inner dialogue around that. And Jesus says, do you realize that last week when you did this with your wife for the live, example, that was the first time you've ever actually done this? And I'm sitting there watching this video going, what? Wait, Dr. Lehman, like you're the pro, like you wrote the 400-page manual. What do you mean this is the first time you've actually done it? Like, I'm sorry. I don't understand what you're saying right now. But apparently for that, Colleen, to go to your observation, the sitting with Jesus part, just sitting, not going after a memory, not healing from a trauma, not trying to figure out what to do in my work environment, like just sitting in appreciation with Jesus and being with him. Apparently that was the first time Dr. Lehman had ever done it. Was when he did it live for that video. And so here he is now in the second video, processing that with Jesus and the shame that he feels for that being true, and how Jesus works through the shame with him. And it's so beautifully modeled for us, of how Jesus just wants to be with us. And so that just stood out to me incredibly. I was like, wow. And he said, just how much God loves being with us. And I thought, I had literally hired a coach for myself recently, and he told me to sit on the porch and drink a hot beverage and do nothing, that I need to do that. And so I've been doing that every day. And of course, do nothing for me looks like spending time with Jesus, which is really funny. That, because if I'm just sitting still, that's where I go. My brain goes to images of memories with him, and then it becomes current and I'm interacting with him and just being with him. And it's all nonverbal because I'm not supposed to do anything. So I'm not supposed to talk to him about work or talk to him about anything. So it's all nonverbal, and it's just been very deepening and precious. But like I had to hire a coach to get me to do that, right? It's so bizarre how we're so driven to work. So that's where I paused and reflected on my own life this week. And just sensed Jesus going, yeah. And it's so good though, isn't it? To just sit with me. And I was like, yeah.
And I love, Tony, that in the material in the PowerPoint, when he's going through the things to do, number one is just spend time with Jesus. And I remember thinking, okay, to get to the next one. And it's just when Colleen, when you were saying, wow, 5 or 10 minutes, that's a long time. But that's why I value practicing this together so much, because like spending 5 or 10 minutes with any one of you would go like this. But our brains just need that little extra help to be able to really enter into this experience and experience that fullness of just doing nothing but being together. It's hard to do, like we always say, our brains are wired to function best in community. It's good to learn how to do it together.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that it would be really hard to do that on my own. I need the accountability and community to be in the 5 minutes with me.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense, I guess, why Dr. Lehman maybe has never done that. If he probably is he might be wired in similar ways. Or
Yes. Overachiever, just like most of us. Other comments then. Ryan, are you with us at all? Are you able to be with us? I know you're probably with us. Any reactions from your end?
Hi, kids.
Yeah, so sorry I couldn't find the button last time.
That's okay.
This is my girl Hadassah and Shiloh.
Hello.
Hi, girls.
Uh, should I tell them they're live and being recorded on the internet?
That's right. Best behavior, girls. No
That's
kidding.
right.
So I had some thoughts about, I didn't get the homework because I was there last time. I didn't get the homework about going through the appreciation memory at first, or just that specific part. But I had some thoughts on the larger part.
Mhm. Yes.
So I could go there if you want me to, or I could just pass.
Sure. Go there.
I would love to hear it.
So I read a book by a psychologist who was a Korean War veteran called Vets for Vets.
Hmm.
And he treats veterans, and his thesis of this book basically is he got involved with like a backpacking and outdoor wilderness backpacking like therapy organization, and
Mhm.
and he was amazed at the results of that this organization got to take, I don't know, 8 to 10 veterans, and they do it separately. So women are with women and guys are with guys, but they have like this a week in the wilderness to just talk to each other. And they're just, I mean, the 8 or that group of veterans, they're not, mental health professionals or anything. They're just like fellow veterans. And they do have, I don't know if they did before, but he was basically like kind of like a facilitator, but according to him in the book, he often just like would throw out a question and then just listen for a really long time. And he was amazed at the healing that occurred. And the thesis of the book is that in order to meet the mental health crisis in the military, veterans are the ones who need to treat veterans.
Mm.
Not enough mental health professionals, and there's not enough, like, wow. He said that his experience is he kind of had an in with people because he was a Korean War vet, but
Yeah.
most mental health folks don't have any experience with the military, and that means that veterans don't trust them or don't trust that they can relate. Yes. And so when the Immanuel approach makes me, and there isn't an organization I found that does this already. I don't know if it's Theophostic or Immanuel approach, but it's not the like training people to help others. It's just helping others, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So it just occurred to me that that was one point was, in your podcast, you're talking about military bases and also refugee camps and stuff like that, and how it can spread and people can help other people, and they're not they don't have to go get a PhD, and they're not in the way of like, it's not like I don't want to use that example. They're just facilitating somebody's connecting to God. They're not the one who, like, the person doesn't have to go to them to get to God. They're just helping them go to God directly.
Yeah.
That,
cool.
and hopeful. And another course that I just finished with Leah about identity, it occurred to me that like physical therapy can be rehab, can also be like sports performance, that like spending time with Jesus can be both also. So it's not just, and it's more than that. And the main thing is also more than that. It's not produce or can do, or even like heal so we can do more. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say, if we could if soldiers could be soldiers out of a whole place, out of wholeness and out of their real identity, maybe solve and prevent conflict instead of just better.
Wow.
Thank you, Ryan.
Amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks. Hillary, any reactions to what you've been listening to our conversation so far?
Yeah, I think for me, the spending time when it was first ushered into it, I did this training with a different group. And we were at that spot where she was literally giving me 5 to 10 minutes. Every single part of me was so angry that we weren't moving on to the next step. I was like, I can't, what else do you want me to say? Like, yeah, right, I feel this. Like, let me move on. Like, why? I was just so angry. Every part of me did not want to be there. Did not want to stay because I couldn't feel anything more. Like it felt like trying to get something else that wasn't there, and it felt fake. And I had like all these red flags popping up, and I had to like take care of like so many different parts of me that were so against just hanging out. And yeah. So who knows what's gonna happen today? But that's not something that I'm comfortable with yet.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
If I were facilitating that with you, I would not make you sit there for 5 minutes for one. We would ask Jesus if you need to be sitting there or not and move on. Because I don't think anywhere in here are we supposed to actually force anyone to sit there for 5 minutes. And so very client led and Jesus led. So that just fascinates me. But hopefully today isn't anything like that. Especially not with actually working with all those parts and letting them get to know Jesus until they're happy being with him for 5 minutes. So I'm so sorry that was your experience, and I hope that is not the case in our practice. Yeah. Good. So today for our practice, is there anyone who would like to facilitate? Now, last time when we met, I facilitated with Colleen, and we definitely did a lot more than just going to a positive memory recall and finding Jesus there and connecting in the present with him, right? Using that as a bridge to connect right now. Today, we're going to try to respect that. I thought about volunteering myself for the receiver, mainly because if I have parts come up, I can deal with them. If I have blockages, I can probably deal with it myself. Kind of like you saw Carl with Charlotte in the sample. He dealt with all of his parts. He was having he was doing all that work, and she just sat there because she was being a beginner facilitator, right? So I realized that, if we're going to do beginner facilitation, then it might be helpful to have someone who has some skill so that you don't have to worry about if I find a part or if I get blocked or if things like that come up at this level of learning to facilitate for each other. How does that sound as today to model that? Great. All right. Would anyone like to facilitate me entering into a memory and finding Jesus there if it's one that I don't have him there already? We could start with one that I have had him in. Just so y'all know, I rarely do this as well. I rarely go back to memories where I have sensed him, which is fascinating, mainly because I just love finding a new appreciation memory and finding him in it. Like that just tends to be what I do when I do my appreciation work, our appreciation log, right? Which is usually start with a new one. So I'm like, I haven't really gone back and connected with him in those other ones and moved forward in that way before. So that would be new for me. And then just connect for spending time, anything else those options that we have there. The actual instructions are in our Discord channel if you need them. And literally Charlotte just read them. Like that's all she did, didn't she? In her sample of how to be a beginner facilitator, she literally just read the step and then he did it all. And then she read the next step and he did it all. So It can be that simple if you want to just read it off the page. It's in there.
Mm.
Is there anyone that feels drawn
Said
to?
in the Discord that I'd be happy to facilitate, receive, do whatever today. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. Is there any objections to Marty facilitating today?
That's good.
Okay. All right, Marty, do you have what you need to facilitate well? I think if you want it, it's in the, did I put it in resources? It's in the resources. I took screenshots of the PowerPoints and stuck them in there because that was easier than downloading it and uploading it. So
I have the model from a couple different models in front of me here. So, but should we go ahead and do the opening prayer and kind of model that today?
why don't you go to the Discord channel and pull it up? That way we know we're all using the same work. Do you have your Discord channel in front of you?
That would be difficult for me.
Okay. How about if I texted it to you on your phone?
Yeah, try that.
All right. All right. Let me make sure I get the right ones here. Oh, you know what? I did it on my computer, not my phone. So texting might be difficult.
Okay, hold on. I'm in Discord.
Oh, good.
Slides that you.
It's under resources, our channel, and under resources. And then it starts today right there. It says facilitator instructions, 12 minutes for each participant. We have about that, a little more than that.
Oh,
that's
okay.
As long as it should take. Do you see it?
I'm in resources now. This is where I'm just going to get lost.
It's just right there. It's those pictures and resources. You're in the Leader Team Wednesday channel.
Yeah, Leader Team Wednesday. Yeah. Oh, hold on.
If you go all the way to the bottom of resources.
Oh, bottom. Okay, thank you.
Yep, very last.
Because it's the last thing that was posted.
I should have downloaded them. Oh, I might even have them open on my computer, but then I don't want to share screen though, because then people are looking at that instead of us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same stuff I have already printed.
Oh, good. Perfect. If that's the same stuff, you're good to go.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So
okay.
the way he does it is they don't pray normally until I'm thanking God and asking him for a current connection. So that's usually when he does the prayer portion of it. You can obviously do it however you want to do it.
Yeah. So, and how much time do we have here?
We have 30 minutes, and that he says we could do this in under 12. So we can see
All right. Okay.
How much time I'm gonna.
Under 12, then that wouldn't be reading them. Anyways, let me just go with it.
All right.
Yeah. So Tony, obviously you're aware of the process, but what I'd like you to do is I'm going to read our opening prayer today, and I'd like you just to kind of close your eyes, calm yourself, and be looking for a positive memory. And it could be a God connection memory. It could be just connecting with nature or with a friend. So
all right.
That as I read our opening prayer. So Lord Jesus, I thank you for this opportunity to pray with Tony. I welcome your presence and help during this session and beyond. I bless Tony to open her heart to you today. Jesus, we stand together and affirm the truth that you are here with us, that you love us, and that even as we pray and are preparing for the way for Tony's healing and growth, we ask you to guide every thought, feeling, image, and memory into Tony's awareness, as well as into my own awareness. I ask you to speak directly to every part of Tony's spirit, heart, mind, and that you would like to care for in a special way today. I ask for your hedge of protection around us, and I pray for your precious blood to cover us and for the Holy Spirit to guide us. As a facilitator, I ask that you would carry with your grace any unresolved sins, wounds, or lies in me that might hinder my ability to follow you. I surrender my spirit, heart, and mind to you. Jesus, I ask for your special grace to fulfill the part that you want me to play in this session. Help us both to stay in tune with you. And in the name of the true Lord Jesus Christ, I command anything that would try to interfere with Tony's healing to be bound to go directly to Jesus's feet to deal with as he requires. In his name I pray, amen. All right, so Tony, whenever you're ready, you can begin to describe your memory to me.
Yeah. So I'm in Uruguay, and it's probably 2012. I remember being in my kitchen, and I was, I had 2 babies. I had a teen who was suicidal. A business was collapsing. We were short funded as missionaries. We had just bought a retreat center. There was a lot of stress and pressure. And I remember having I remember thinking in the kitchen, I'm not going to make it today. I'm so tired. And I remember thinking, I've got 10 minutes before the baby's nap's over. And I just thought, I've got to find energy somehow, because I can't make it through the rest of the day. It was mid-afternoon. How am I going to make it through the rest of the day with 2 babies and all of this? And I remember just sensing, go out in the garden and sit down. And so with my 10 minutes, I went and sat down in a chair facing our garden and started breathing. And I was just breathing. And I think I was saying something like, I need you, Jesus, I need you. And I don't remember if I went to an appreciation memory in that moment. I probably did. All I remember is Jesus coming. I remember, oh my gosh. I sensed him kneeling right in front of me. And and he had his hands on my hands, because my hands were on the arms of the chair. He put his hands on my hands, and he came really, really close to my face. And he said, I want you to breathe now. And as soon as he said now, he meant inhale. I want you to inhale. And as I inhaled, he exhaled, just so close to me. And when I inhaled and he exhaled into me, I felt almost like tingling all over my body. And I was like, is this real? Am I crazy? I literally thought, I've just gone crazy. I've literally lost it. And he's like, no, this is me. Keep doing this. And I said, okay, and so every time I would exhale and then inhale, he would exhale into me. And he just said, do this for the 10 minutes that you have with me, and I will restore you. I will restore you. Every breath, breathe me in, and let me restore you. And I could feel it going all the way to my toes and all the way back up to my body. And I know tears were kind of coming as well, because I was just amazed that he could do this for me. I've had so many quiet times with him and spent my whole life following him, but I had never physically been restored in a short period of time without needing a nap, without needing to sleep, without needing, to have to care, take some dramatic measures. But he knew drastic measures. He knew I didn't have that. I just didn't have it. And I just remember, the day was perfect. The temperature was beautiful. And since then, even whenever I've been tired, but needing to go on because I couldn't stop in that moment, I hear him say, breathe me. And I would just, and imagine him right there again, exhaling into me his life. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And obviously, as I'm recalling it now, I'm almost shaking. Part of me feels tender that I was that desperate or that in need. So there's a part of me kind of grieving, I think, that, wow, that was hard. And I know there's mothers there every day. So just a little bit of feeling what mothers of small children feel like. Because I think that's a common place for every mother to be, especially who has multiple children and breastfeeding and such. It's just, it is so physically demanding.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and so thankful that he would meet me in it. Goodness, that's incredible. And then there's this longing of, oh, will you meet other women? Will you meet other people when they're at their end? Will you do that for them too? Kind of asking him that.
Yeah. If you want to ask him, what do you want me to know, or what does this mean for me today, this memory?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow the script, Marty. I'm sorry, but I know what the script is because I wrote it out today. But Dr. Lehman said the question would be, do I feel connected currently to Jesus? And I don't know if I do yet. I still think I'm remembering him doing that with me, but I don't know if I've bridged to connect to him right now. Yeah. And the question that Dr. Lehman uses to do that is, Jesus, how do you feel about being with me today? And so I'm gonna go there if that's okay with you.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. Mm.
So this is weird, and I don't know where he's going with this, but I have been, so I've been relating to myself recently as a black jaguar. I have an intimate instinct as a person, and that intimate piece of me is very intense and feels like a black jaguar. So and that part of me is very instinctual. So far they have not used any words. It literally acts like a jaguar would. Loves to cuddle, loves to snuggle, loves to be seen. And Jesus appears as a lion when the jaguar is present with me. So I see myself, I see the lion and the jaguar, and he just leads her. She cuddles into him and follows his lead. And
wow.
And so I'm in this memory in Uruguay, and he's there with me. But when I asked how I felt about me, I saw the jaguar appear in that memory and the lion as well. And so him and I are there, but there's this jaguar and this lion. And I don't know why that makes me want to cry, but maybe it's some integration piece happening. I don't know. I'm just curious. So it makes me curious. He definitely feels happy to be with me and happy to be with all of me, kind of.
Wow.
So I'm just asking him about that. Like, what are you trying to say? What does this mean?
Yeah.
So give me just a second.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he's almost like the jaguar, an intimate piece of me that lives so intensely, is the part that needed restoring that day. But I didn't know her like that back then.
Yeah.
And how I think he's showing me that he's come for her. This was 10 years ago, right?
Wow. Wow.
Time is so weird when you're with Jesus. And
Mhm.
and now he's showing me just our times on the porch this week with all of us together, and
Mm.
how he's training her to rest. She didn't know how to rest. I didn't know how to rest back then.
Wow.
I was just starting to learn to rest. So yeah.
Wow.
Something really precious to me about the words, I've come for you, come for you.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
I think I could just sit here for a while, and I'm acknowledging the time. And so I think we're all kind of happy to pause for now and take this up in our next coffee together.
Mhm.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone. This morning I was when I was doing the videos and just thinking about, oh, I haven't connected before. I mean, I've probably done it once or twice, but not like a practice of connecting with the memories where I've sensed God in the past. And so I was being curious already with that, and this memory just popped in my head. I was like,
Mm.
and
Of course it did.
yeah. So I started to try to do something with it, and I
Mm.
literally sensed my soul say, "We're not going there alone."
Mm.
And I was like, okay. So for
I
some
love
reason
that. Mhm.
that was needed to have some space with others, I think,
Mhm.
to be able to get there. Maybe a little bit of just forcing myself to stay in it long enough.
Mhm.
Whereas if I were alone, I might have popped out just because
Yeah.
it's deep work, and a lot
Yeah.
of times we don't want to do deep work when we're by ourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for wow.
Mm.
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 It is like us to debrief. So I will open it up for people to reflect, ask questions. What did you learn today? What seemed interesting to you? What got your attention?
Mm. I have one thing that stood out to me that I always find to be so precious about this whole Immanuel lifestyle practice is that the things that you were already talking to Jesus about and noticing in your life and dealing with in your own, with your coach and in work and on the porch. Um, none of that is accidental. And it wasn't an accident that this grieving, desperate, depleted part came right to your memory when you wanted to spend time being held in community by us today, because that is ongoing conversation and work with him already. Like it never feels random. Whenever we spend time together in this practice, threads are always coming together in such powerful ways. And I was right from the very beginning of you telling that story. It was like I was seeing them all come together. It's so powerful. I love that.
I'm just
training
taking
her
a
to
few
rest.
notes 'cause I don't know if anyone took notes for me, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss the grieving part.
Yeah, I mean, I was writing some notes, and certainly,
down
you
to-
know, about what sent you to the garden that day, of just being
Right,
totally
okay.
depleted and tired, and then relating that to being a mother of small children, and desiring for healing for and energy for other mothers
Thank
of
you.
small children.
Thank you. Could you send me all that, Shannon?
Sure, I'll send
Thank
it to
you. That way I won't need to frantically write
Yeah.
it all out right now. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking notes. It's such
Yeah.
an important part.
The just to you know, tie it together in the end here, though, the that precious phrase, "I've come for you," and training that jaguar part to rest, I feel like it seemed important to me, the feelings in your body that came up, um, that you're dealing with now, this jaguar part that you've come to know now that you didn't know then. But that same feeling of depletion and just, I can't even finish my day. I don't know how to go on without help from you, is present, with this part in your current life now. That it was a reminder, in your body of what that's like. And he's so tender towards that part. And he's come for her. So very sweet.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hmm.
Any other observations, even about the approach or about Marty, your facilitation? Any questions about that aspect of things, since we're learning to facilitate as well?
Yeah, for me, I did feel a little bit of anxiety and a little bit awkward when we were like, well, how are we going to do this? Do I have to find this stuff on almost so that it was like throwing me off, like, well, maybe I just shouldn't do it today. And someone who's okay, because I'm one of those guys that like to get everything in my, instead of spontaneously jumping into it like seven on the Enneagram.
So sorry. I really wanted putting it in Discord was trying to set us up for success today.
Yeah.
But I realized I probably should have emailed it and said, print this out for our session today. So everyone would just have it. So I'm sorry I didn't set y'all up for success. Next time I will do that. I'm really hoping people get into the lessons and actually engage with them and print the material out for yourself and dive into where we are, because we'll be working different aspects of this as we move forward, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Although we might decide next time to just camp out on this a little bit, since it seems to be a weakness of ours. And maybe even break down into groups of 3 next week and let 2 people facilitate and 2 people and such. So we can decide that next time we're together. But
part of that was my fault too, because I didn't do my homework. So yeah.
Well,
Also,
can I?
well, part of my feedback as well is that I figured it might be pretty easy to not even say much and watch you interact. So, and I think that's kind of how it went too. So, yeah, anyway, that's
good. Yeah. And the crucial piece in that, and well, I'll let Shannon go, and then I'll tell you the crucial piece for me in that I learned even watching the material today. Shannon.
I was just going to reflect back to you, Marty, something that you've told us before. And that is, like, you already know how to do this. You do it. You're trained. I mean, obviously we're trying to all be on the same page and work from the same material. But sometimes you have told us before that you hold yourself back, thinking like you need something more, or you need more practice, or you need to. And so I guess I just want to encourage you that we already see that you know what to do. And you're so insightful and gentle and present. Your presence is so grounded that I just appreciate being with you, and you don't need anything more to be ready.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon.
And that as a facilitator, I have had people say to me, that's not helpful right now. Can we do something else? And even me, right? So
Sure.
it's part of radically paying attention to the person we're with and Jesus, and letting them say, how's that? Because, I've asked the wrong question many times, or asked a question that wasn't helpful for them. And so as a facilitator, knowing that could happen and being open to them telling you what they need is always a stance that I think we have to be in all the time. So thank you. And I could only do that because I trusted you, Marty, that you wouldn't be upset or get your feelings hurt or deflate completely. So I trusted you that Marty can handle this. He's a friend. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing again in this is having that interactive connection, strong connection with Jesus, and not doing anything to take away and distract and asking too many questions. Or so yeah, it's really fun just to watch you interact, and you can tell something's going on. There's communication and connection and love connection happening. Yeah.
Hillary, were you going to jump in?
No, just absolutely beautiful to observe. Thank you.
Ryan and Colleen, I can't see if y'all are eager to speak or not. So if you are, there you go. Great. Ryan, reflections, questions, thoughts, comments.
Yeah, thoughts. So I recently heard that the Hebrew for Yahweh literally means something like breathe God in and breathe God out.
Wow.
And I don't know letters put together that mean that or what, but anyway, so when you told that, because I was kind of thinking about how crazy it would be if somebody was me 15 years ago and like I'll check this out and then hear that story and just be like, what in the world?
Yeah.
But it is it's like living scripture. It's over.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks. Colleen.
Yeah, great to listen to everyone's debrief. I have I think a question I have is something Marty did that I would have done too. And I heard you say, Tony, that you needed to go somewhere else, but Marty, I guess I'm curious. I sensed that you asked her the question, I can't remember exactly, but basically, do you want to talk to Jesus about that? Or do you want to, because Tony was bringing up some questions and some pain. And so Marty, you said, well, do you want to talk to Jesus about that? And that felt right to me because you hadn't prompted her yet to connect with Jesus, but Jesus was already there. And it seemed to me like you had a pretty strong interaction with Jesus that was happening. So I felt like that was like, oh, that was a skilled move, Marty, on your part. The Jesus connection happened, so you were just kind of moving along. But then Tony, you said you actually weren't connected to Jesus yet. So I think my question is, I was just a little confused, but I'm affirming Marty too, and like that's what I would have done too.
Yeah, that is beautiful insight. Thank you, Colleen. And honestly, I probably would not have been prompted to pay attention like I did had I not done the training video 2 hours ago. And had that not stood out to me. So when I was watching Dr. Lehman do this, he went to his memory, he connected, he was remembering the connection with Jesus that he was having in the past, right? And then I think that's when in the outline, that's when you're prompted to stop and pray. And you're prompted to say, thank you, Jesus, for this connection we had in this memory. Will you please, and then you bridge it to now, will you please show me your active presence right now?
Yeah.
And if you don't sense any change in the memory, then you ask, well, how do you feel about being with me? And that's usually when you sense the active presence coming on for right now, for today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was the other thing that was in my mind, was connecting his presence, or where do you see Jesus? Where do you see Jesus's presence now? And or
Yeah.
ask,
Yes.
if you don't, can you help me see your presence?
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
I think I had in the past, I would have used question. I mean, we always ask, how do you feel about being with me? But I would also ask things like, is Jesus changing at all from your memory to something different? Like focus on his nonverbals. What's he doing? Right? What looks different than it did when you were there? Right? So I'll have them radically pay attention to nonverbals if they don't sense a shift for the live interactive connection right now. Right? So there is a very real difference between me remembering a connection with Jesus versus now me actually interacting with him in the present. So that, if you haven't done that portion of the training, I encourage you to go back and watch his video and watch him do it. And the way they talk through it is beautiful, and the outline helps. But that was kind of a clear shift in our appreciation log. We do that after your memory. We say, now thank Jesus for showing up for you then, and ask him how he feels about you now. So we have it in our process, but we've never really understood why we do that, or we've never talked about how crucial that piece is and why. And I never knew brain science wise why it was important. I just knew when I was practicing Immanuel with people, if I had forgotten that step, it kind of broke down, and I always had to go back to that step. So it's definitely a crucial moment in an Immanuel session.
Yeah.
As you can see, changed everything in me like that. I mean, I went from that to bawling my eyes out. Ryan.
Yeah, can I ask a quick question? It doesn't have to be like going deep into it, because it's probably something we're going to cover in the future. But I was wondering if you could give me just a snapshot of, so where this goes from then. So you're in the past memory, and Jesus is there. You did the bridge, you're giving him gratitude, and you thank him, and now you're sensing him in the present. When you go to whether it's healing or whatever, but when you go farther down this trail, do you end up encouraging, like, the person you're helping or yourself? Do you end up interacting with Jesus in the present or in a past, or do you let Jesus decide and it doesn't matter?
So I love in the training, you'll see it, and I've got it in our Discord channel as well. Dr. Lehman has options, right? So once the interactive connection is established, what we did today, that interactive connection was established. I asked him how he felt about me. I was bawling my eyes out, and he began coaching me. Y'all saw that. He's talking to me about my integrative parts and, the parts of me that I've been discovering recently and how they were connected to me back then. So he just moved into coaching me naturally. So I would have just sat with that for a while. But the options, there's so many options. You could just spend time together. So I literally could just sit there with all my parts and Jesus in that memory, but with my future self back there, enjoying that. Or all of us moved to the porch. At one point I was like, now we're all on the porch, so now we're in the present memory of this morning, enjoying each other and projecting about today or tomorrow when I'm on the porch with myself. So he's giving me a vision for what we need to be doing regularly, but you can just spend time there. So that's one option. Another option would be to move to the question, do you have anything else for me? Do you want me to know anything else about all of this? Right. And then that rabbit hole could go for an hour. Another option is just receive comfort, right? Because I had some grieving going on that came up. So maybe all I do with him at that point is just cry in his arms and let him hold me and just cry and be comforted for all the pain that I had been in. And all the mothers who are there now and don't have hope. That might be what I do tomorrow, right? It's just receive comfort. Another one is intercessory prayer, which is where this would probably go next for me, because maybe he wants me to be interceding for mothers. So that's the beautiful place for me to intercede, is when I'm feeling their potential pain or their grief or their exhaustion. That's where I could pray for them, right? And intercede for them. Maybe specific mothers would even come to mind. Spiritual direction, emotional healing. So maybe there's memories he wants to take me to, or just thinking about some problem together. Maybe I want to talk to him about how do I help mothers? And that's where we go, right? So it can go anywhere. It all depends on your heart and where Jesus wants to take you and where you want to go. So the facilitator's role is to pay radical attention to your connection to Jesus and only intervene if you're stuck. If it's not moving anywhere and you don't know what to do and you're kind of like, well, we're just sitting here. Then the facilitator says, well, ask Jesus if this is all for today. Ask Jesus what he wants to do today. Would he like to coach you? Would he like to spend time with you? What's he want to do? And then that usually moves it forward into one of those areas. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question? Great. That's why this connection piece is so important, though, because if the connection is well made, all that other stuff will naturally happen if you've got a good facilitator and safety. All right, we're out of time today. One word closing round. What do we take away? What was most important? What did you see God do? I'm going to say deep work, because I'm not alone. Thank you.
Breathe me.
Hmm.
I remember that one.
Yeah. Good.
Connection.
Community of practice. Thankful for you guys.
I had a picture of him standing at a door, and I think it's Revelation 3:20. Stands at the door and knocks.
Community of practice.
Love you guys. We'll communicate dates, homework, all that good stuff on Discord together, so we set ourselves up for success for our next call. Thank you, Marty, for being courageous and bold and just jumping in. We appreciate you. It's always a learning experience together.
Yeah.
Love you guys. If you're live, thank you for joining us, or if you're watching this video later on, thank you for joining us. If you want to know more, please research Immanuel Approach, Dr. Lehman, listen to my podcast by Marty. And give if you want to see this revolution continue globally. Lots of love. Bye, you guys.
Thanks. Bye, friends.
What's next? I forgot to preview our next session, so I'll do that as well. What is next? I think you guys are going to get the honor, whoever is live is going to get the incredible honor of an interview. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday, I think it is. I can't see the image. Bummer. I can't see my schedule. You've got an interview coming up. Maybe 2 interviews coming up. And I wish I could tell you what they are. Oh, maybe it's on the live page. Here we go. The schedule is on the live page. Yay. Okay. Oh, Hala, coaching, rhythms of attention in a life coaching practice. So Hala is a life coach, and she's also a Luke 10 facilitator. And so she's going to share a little bit around how training as a facilitator has impacted her coaching business that she has. And then later on today, an inside look at facilitator training, and you're going to see as Hillary goes live with an initial debrief is what we call it. And it's your first meeting you have with your trainer once you've signed up for facilitator training. So you'll get to see what that looks like when you start to get trained as a facilitator. And that'll be later on today at 2:30 Central Time, it looks like. And there also might be another leader team thrown in here somewhere. I've heard rumors of another leader team coming up soon. Hope y'all have a great